How are we? Ba, ba, ba. Coffee is still grand, and as you can tell, it's already going dark because here in Scotland, especially in winter, the sun comes up at about 8:39 in the morning, goes down at 3:30. So you don't have much sunlight, and it's overcast and probably gonna rain. But that's what happens in Scotland. Anyway, way off theme. Hi guys, how are we? We're gonna have a little bit of story time in this video. This is 3 incidences where my silly face was robbed as an author. Number 1. The first serious encounter I had that I was mugged, robbed, and brutally wronged. No, not so dramatic, but the reason why I want to tell these stories is so you're conscious that every business deal or every situation that you might have, if it involves money, doesn't always work out in your favor. So these are 3 incidences that I went through and I learnt from where I was financially taken advantage of. So my first one was my first editor. I will not name him, I will shame him. And it is a he, so that takes 50% of the world out. So my first editor, when I finished my first manuscript, all of 19 years old, I was excited, I was ready, and I was prepared to publish my book. But first I needed an editor. So I went on to freelancer.com and I found myself a phenomenal editor who had already done work with previous authors. I sent him my manuscript. Now he wanted a payment, all of it, initially. Yep, my mistake. I'm an idiot. Not really. But you know what? I agreed to those terms. My advice, don't ever do this. But I did, and so he was updating me as he went along with the manuscript. And then we got to about 75%, and he sent me a message saying he could no longer edit my book because it was that horrendous. And so as a first-time writer and a young 19-year-old girl, I was heartbroken. I remember some of the comments that he made in that very large and amazing email was that my main character was as likable as cancer and that wolves could not physically grow that big, despite it being a young adult fantasy book. So I was gutted by this because not only had he not completed the manuscript, it had knocked down my confidence severely, and he'd also taken my money. And I really had to decide whether I wanted to continue down this path because it definitely knocked my confidence out of the park. And I was like, I'm a horrible writer. Why'd I even decide I wanted to publish a book? I'm awful at this. Luckily, I stuck through and I decided to continue, and I found a new editor who was amazing. When I did proper research, because I had not done that, which is why I say research. When I did my proper research on this gentleman, I found that he was an author himself and he wrote science fiction, and he didn't have 1, great reviews, 2, he was not, by the looks of it, doing too well. So I'll leave that to your imagination, but shame on him for taking advantage of a 19-year-old girl and trying to write off her hopes and dreams. But hey, you know, my first manuscript might have been horrible because it was my first book. That's fine. Just be professional about it and don't steal people's money. If you only do 75% of the work, don't take all the money. That's to you, mate. The second time I was robbed as an author was a book signing event and convention. And I'm sure a lot of my author friends who are watching this, they were also victim to this, and they're probably like, yeah, I remember that, because we're all still very upset about it. There was a massive event happening in Australia, in Sydney. Again, I'm not going to name, but I will shame. We went to it the previous year. It was a massive success, despite a couple of us having issues with the organizer, which sometimes depends what events you go to. All organizers are different. I've been graced with having some amazing hosts, whereas there have been a couple that have been tricky to work with because they weren't professional, or they didn't cover all bases, or perhaps they bit off more than they could chew, and it was their first event signing, and they really didn't know what they were doing. Anywho, not saying I could do any better, because I don't think I could. Well, I reckon I could give a good crack. But this particular person, we had gone the first year, and despite there being a lot of friction with this particular host, for me it was a moderate success. I'd sold a lot of books and it was fantastic. So of course I signed up for the following year. Now, a lot of the information we were getting was touch and go. So again, when you have book signings and events, you have to put your down payment on, and then you complete the deposit, certain months in advance. You obviously have to put a lot of money into having your stock, promoting it. And we were receiving emails from her saying, this is what's happening, this is where it is. Anyway, great, fine. So I was driving down with a fellow author friend, so it was going to take us about 14 hours in driving to get there. And I had literally packed all of my bags, ready to go. I was to meet her in the next few hours, and then we all received an email from that host saying that it was cancelled. The day before the event it was cancelled. Now, what makes this situation worse is she did not have the money to refund everyone, which begs the question as to where the money went. Obviously, this went insane. Everyone was at her, and as they should be. She was saying that she'd hired a property for us to go to, that she had done all the promoting, which was very minimal, and a lot of us were suspicious leading up to this because there were a couple of things that weren't adding up, and the emails that she was sending out was talking more so about how she's having personal issues and health issues opposed to the agenda of what's to come. So all of these things sort of were suspiciously adding up until she'd cancelled it. And then she contacted all of us, said, sorry, I don't have your money right now. Then certain authors were threatening to sue her or get lawyers involved. So she decided to come back in a mass email again and say, if you try to use a lawyer against me, I will declare bankruptcy and nobody will get their money back. So there was heated discussions. Every individual author at this event dealt with this situation differently. But as a mass group, we were angry, because she had taken a lot of hundreds of dollars from us, and a lot of us had organized flights, car trips, taken shifts off of our day jobs, and even the readers were upset because she had taken money for their tickets. And our question was, where had all this money gone if you hadn't properly organized this event and then you dared to cancel the day before? So she was just collectively grabbing this money and nothing. We then received a mass email from her again, saying that her health was horrible, it was horrendous, and again, if that was true, my condolences, but that she would have to get 2 or 3 jobs so she could start paying us all back individually. Again, you question, where did the money go? What did you spend it on? If it wasn't this mass event that you had gathered thousands and thousands of dollars for, what did you spend it on? So, end of the story, she did not host another event, despite rumours, and besides her having the boldness to say that she would host another convention the next year, she did not, because nobody would go. I know that some authors received their money back, some authors did not. I personally did not, because after all the months and months and months of trying to get a hold of this woman getting money, it wasn't worth the stress in my life. That's a personal choice, but again, I got robbed as an author. Yay! The third time I was robbed as an author, and again, you'll probably find, and these, when I say it out loud, I realize how silly it was of me to do this, but I hope that you learned something from this video, and I love story time, it's fun. So 3 was I went into a book crate. So book crates are basically when you have, say, 50 boxes and they're sent out to 50 subscribers, and it will have a book or 2 in it. It'll have like little knickknacks inside that are themed to that same box. You may spend, say, $30 to $40 on one of these boxes, and you will have a monthly subscription. So I'd organised an Australian themed one, which she had been open for about 6 months, and we had come to an agreement on prices. So I would send her X amount of paperbacks, and obviously at a discounted price because of the mass purchase, and promotion for myself as well, because my book would be getting into new readers' hands, which is why I tried this different way of promotion, thinking outside of the box, in a box. So our agreement was I would send her a certain amount of books. Before I sent that, she sent me half the money Fantastic. When she received the rest, she would send me the rest of it. Cool. It did not happen. So she received these products. She had paid me half, received the products, sent them out. And then I continued to chase her up about the second half of the payment, and I never received that. She then, I think it was a month later or 2 months later, had scrapped the business. So I was happy that my books got into new readers, so at least I was having a minor win there, but it was definitely not ideal. So just make sure that you're being secure in the agreements that you're making, no matter what kind of business relationship it is. When it does involve money, make sure that you're being safe, but also generously enough that the person you're working with is safe as well. So you have an agreement when it comes to money. And unfortunately, like everything in this day and age, nothing is guaranteed. So these are just 3 little stories that I have of 3 times I was robbed as an author. I hope you enjoyed story time. I enjoyed telling them because it makes me like reminisce on my past mistakes. Well, not mistakes, but learning adventures. Thank you for joining me for story time. I had fun retelling it. Hope you enjoyed it and had a bit of a laugh at my expense, because I definitely still do. But I'll talk to you guys soon. Please, if you have any stories actually of times when you might have been robbed as an author, I would love to hear them, and if they were similar to mine, or if I'm just in my own little show. But talk soon, guys. Thank you so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe.